Hey guys, it's Micah, and welcome to my analysis of the very famous Nier Automata. Released on February 23rd, 2017, Nier Automata is an action role-playing hack-and-slash video game developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix. Written by Yoko Taro, it was created for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. The game was met with critical acclaim due to its narrative, strong characters, thematic depth, music soundtrack, combat system, and integration of different gaming genres. I first got into the game during my senior year of high school. I knew it became popular around 2017 because I saw a lot of Nier fan art on Twitter. So, I borrowed my friend's Xbox One and played the game for myself. I enjoyed Nier for its characters, multi-branching routes, and gorgeous soundtrack. Nier Automata takes place in a post-apocalyptic world in the year 11945 AD. The story revolves around a proxy war between human-made androids and a machine army of alien invaders from another world. Yorha, an elite military force of androids, is charged by the Council of Humanity with fighting the machine lifeforms who have invaded Earth. Stationed on an orbital base called the Bunker, Yorha's mission is to reclaim Earth for the human race. The game is split into 3 main chapters, each with its own ending, and each played with a different character. 2B, aka Yorha number 2 Type B, is the main protagonist in the first chapter of the story. 2B is a Yorha battle android, whose main traits are being calm and composed during battle. While she rarely expresses her emotions, she is fiercely loyal to her superiors, especially the Yorha commander. 2B wields 2 weapons, which allows her to switch between light and heavy attacks, and is accompanied by Pod 042, a floating, box-like robot who acts as a ranged weapon. 9S, the protagonist of the second chapter of the game, is a male scanner android with high analytical and professional hacking abilities. As 9S, you get to hack into the machines by playing bullet hell minigames, which makes it easier to beat the enemies in one go. Similar to 2B, he is also accompanied by a pod known as Pod 153. While 9S lacks 2B's physical strength and fighting abilities, he displays much more compassion and empathy than she does. The second playthrough, told from his perspective, demonstrates this.
What is it?
That machine had some pretty weird things to say, huh? It's almost like it had actual emotion.
The machines don't have feelings. You said that yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
Finally, A2, the protagonist of the third chapter, is an older attack android with a cold and lone wolf attitude. She prefers to work alone, and deserted Yorha long before 2B and 9S came along. The game contains 26 different endings, with the first 5, A through E, as the main ones. This adds variety and enhances the gameplay experience. P.S. Don't take endings F through Z seriously. The first and second chapters show the events of the first half of the game through 2B and 9S's perspective, respectively. The game opens with 2B and 9S investigating a machine factory. Throughout their journey, they encounter bosses, a resistance camp, a village led by the pacifist machine Pascal, and Adam and Eve, 2 brothers from the Machine Network who reveal that their alien creators had actually died long ago. 2B and 9S also encounter A2, a rogue android who isn't playable until the third chapter. As the story progresses, Adam kidnaps 9S, which in turn causes 2B to kill Adam. Driven by grief, Eve goes on a rampage and attempts to kill both 2B and 9S in order to avenge his brother. 2B and 9S kill Eve to end the rampage, but 9S gets infected with Eve's logic virus, forcing 2B to kill him. However, 9S was able to transfer his consciousness to another machine, much to 2B's relief. After the player finishes the first 2 routes, the true game begins in Route C, or, as I like to describe it, the route where shit goes down. Yorha units get infected by a virus, the bunker gets destroyed, and 9S begins to learn the truth about humanity. In actuality, mankind was extinct long before the aliens invaded Earth, and Yorha created the Council of Humanity to give androids a purpose for their existence. The androids had no purpose, yet continued fighting in a meaningless war against the machines. The player then switches between the perspectives of 9S and A2. More tragedy and suffering ensue, all in a quest to unlock the 3 other main endings. What happens next, you ask? Well, play the game to find out. If you decide to play the game, you'll notice that from the very beginning, Nier throws you into combat. Of course, this makes sense, since you take the role of combat androids in an open-world environment. While this may sound daunting, you can choose the game's difficulty level, which is pretty neat, especially if you aren't used to real-time combat, platformers, or bullet hells. For players who enjoy the exploring aspect of video games, Nier's open-world environment fosters exploration as it contains lots of side quests, bonus endings, and hidden cutscenes. I lost track of time while playing since I got so invested in completing the side quests. It also took some time to get used to the combat mechanics, but once I got the hang of the controls, it was fun. Another aspect that drew me to the game was its soundtrack. For those of you who don't know, Nier Automata won the Game Award for Best Score/Soundtrack. If you play the game, you'll notice that the background music at each location has two versions, a quiet version and a dynamic version. For example, the City Ruins, quiet version, Rays of Light, plays as you begin exploring your environment, evoking a sense of wonder and curiosity for humanity's city ruins. There's also a sense of mystery as you traverse the desolate landscape void of life. As the story progresses and you become more familiar with your environment, the dynamic version, City Ruins Shade, comes to life. The music crescendos and the vocals kick in, mirroring the dynamic changes made in the soundtrack. Finally, War and War, another modified version of City Ruins, elicits a sense of morale as the Yorha soldiers launch an all-out attack against the machine forces. The music sends a mighty, powerful tone that embodies men going to war, which fits in with the Yorha motto, glory to mankind. In addition to the gorgeous soundtrack, I also enjoyed the thought-provoking questions this game raised, such as why does history continue to repeat itself, as 2B foreshadows at the beginning of the game.
We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death.
As you play the game, you'll notice a lot of repetitive elements, combat mechanics, route reruns, and even enemies. While some complain that these elements make the game feel redundant, I argue that this repetition is a deliberate metaphor for the cyclical nature of life and death. You continue to replay each route as a different character, which signifies how the androids continue to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Furthermore, Nier asks us, are all enemies truly evil as they seem? The shifting points of view within the game argue that our views on someone can change depending on which angle we look at them from. Enemies that seemed irredeemable during the first playthrough become understandable and even sympathetic on a second.
Listen to me, Adam. I never disliked fighting, but I didn't want you to be hurt. And I especially didn't want to lose you. So let's go somewhere quiet. Together, my brother.
In my opinion, replaying the game made each playthrough much more enjoyable than the last. The game commentates on how we, too, undergo repetitive cycles. We go to school, find a job, start a family, grow old, and die. The cycle continues to repeat for our children, grandchildren, and future generations to come. So if everyone ends up dying anyway, why do we stress so much over things that won't matter once we're gone? This stems from the desire to give some sort of purpose and meaning to our lives. If the player attains both endings C and D, the credits roll around, and the player must shoot the credits in a shoot-'em-up minigame in order to trigger the final ending. The minigame is notoriously difficult, and each time the player dies, the game questions, do you think games are silly little things? Do you admit there is no meaning to this world? If you're connected to the online network, players from around the world who have beaten the game and sacrificed their save data provide backup support. Honestly, when I read all of the messages pushing me to move forward when I wanted to give up, I cried. Finally, the game asks if you would like to sacrifice your own save data to help others who haven't beaten the game. It's a brilliant way to not only end the game, but to truly test your selflessness and compassion for other players in need. Nier Automata left me with a powerful message, that despite our struggles and our feelings of hopelessness, our lives carry weight filled with meaning.